I know you've heard it countless times. I thought my life was perfect until that one day. That was me, Ethan Hayes. I was married to an incredible woman, Sophia, and we had a beautiful 6-year-old daughter named Lila. Sophia, as we all called her, and I met during my senior year of college. She was a junior at the time, and we fell in love almost instantly. A month after her graduation, we got married. With my engineering degree, I landed a solid job at a national firm, while Sophia started working as a legal assistant at a law firm. 2 years later, she left her job when Lila was born to focus on being a full-time mom. Life felt perfect until Lila started kindergarten. That's when Sophia decided to return to her old position at the law firm. In hindsight, the warning signs were everywhere, but I was too blind to see them. I believed wholeheartedly that Sophia loved me just as deeply as I loved her. Looking back, it's clear I was wrong. When she went back to work, she started dressing more provocatively. Our once vibrant sex life dwindled to nothing. Sophia began working longer hours and dismissed my concerns whenever I asked about it. When I brought up how little time she was spending with Lila and me, she'd brush it off, saying she was working for one of the senior partners and that it was a significant opportunity. It's for our future and will help us financially, she'd insist. About a few months before the day, I met her boss, Nathan Price, at the firm's Christmas party. From the moment I saw him, I didn't like him. He came across as arrogant and dismissive toward me. I watched them closely during the event, but there was no obvious sign of anything inappropriate between Sophia and her boss. Whatever was going on, they were careful to hide it from me. But it was there. I just couldn't see it yet. Everything fell apart as Lila's kindergarten year came to an end. After her last day of school, she was set to spend the weekend with my parents, giving Sophia and me a chance to reconnect. I had been looking forward to a quiet weekend with her, hoping to reignite our relationship and revive our intimacy. After dropping Lila off, I headed home, eager to start the evening I had planned. A nice dinner and a movie at home, just the two of us. But as I walked into the kitchen, I saw Sophia coming down the stairs. She was dressed in a short, elegant dress and high heels, her hair styled in perfect curls that framed her face. Her makeup was flawless, as if she was heading out for a glamorous night. "Wow, babe, you look incredible," I said, genuinely stunned. "I wish you'd told me we were going out. I would have rushed home. Just give me a few minutes, and I'll get ready." "Where are we going?" She smirked, a cold, unrecognizable expression that made my stomach twist. "We're not going anywhere," she replied. "I'm going out, but not with you." I froze, struggling to process her words. What are you saying?" "I have a date," she said casually, as though it was the most natural thing in the world. "And this is just the beginning. Starting today, we're going to have new rules. My boss is picking me up for a night out. I won't be home. I've booked a room downtown." Her words hit me like a brick. "What the hell are you talking about?" I demanded, my voice rising in disbelief. "You need to calm down and accept it," she said, her tone cold and matter-of-fact. "This is how it's going to be. I'll be home sometime Sunday." "Like hell you will," I shouted. "If you walk out that door, don't plan on coming back." She didn't flinch. "No, Ethan, I will be coming back. This is our home, and we're staying married. I'll live here, and so will you. You need to understand that I still love you, but I need more. If you make this difficult, it's you who won't live here anymore. And believe me, you don't want to end up penniless and in jail. It wouldn't be good for Lila to lose her father, would it?" Her words cut deeper than I thought possible, leaving me standing there, stunned and furious, as she walked out the door. Just as I was about to confront Sophia, the doorbell rang. She hurried to answer it, letting her boss, Nathan, into the house. "How did he take it?" Nathan asked her. "Not well," she replied coolly. "I think you need to explain the consequences of non-compliance." Nathan was not an imposing man, about my size, if not slightly shorter. "Mr. Hayes," he began, "I believe we need to have a conversation." "Conversation?" I said, bristling with anger. "What I need is to throw you out of my house." "You're welcome to try," he said with a smirk. "From the looks of it, you might get a few good hits in before my driver steps in and puts an end to it. By the end of the evening, you'd be in jail. So, why don't you sit down and listen instead?" I glanced toward the door and saw a large man standing on the doorstep behind Nathan. Realizing the odds were against me, I muttered under my breath and reluctantly sat down. "Good," Nathan said, his tone smug. "Now we can have a civilized discussion. When your wife agreed to become my personal assistant, she took on additional responsibilities, including meeting my personal needs." "Yes, I'm referring to a sexual relationship. We've been involved for the past 6 months, but Sophia has grown tired of sneaking around. Here's how things are going to work moving forward. You and your wife will remain married, and your role as husband and father will remain largely unchanged, except for one aspect. I will be the one meeting Sophia's intimate needs. Most of the time, this will happen at the office or in a hotel, but on occasions when you are not home, we may use your bedroom. My anger boiled over as I stood up. This is outrageous. I will not accept this. I will divorce her for her infidelity. Mr. Hayes, Nathan said smoothly, his tone calm yet menacing. That kind of talk is not productive. You seem to be forgetting what business I'm in. I'm a high-powered attorney at this city's most prestigious law firm, and I have considerable influence. If you pursue a divorce, you'll face severe consequences, not just in the courtroom. Of course, during the divorce proceedings, we'll take everything from you. You'll lose your home, your savings, and you'll still be required to pay alimony while Sophia continues her relationship with me. But that's not all. That precious little daughter you adore? You won't see her again. I'll ensure you're accused of child molestation. The charges will ruin you. You'll serve time in prison, and even after you're released, you'll never have visitation rights. Your employer will fire you immediately, and your reputation will be destroyed. Your family and friends? They'll abandon you. You'll be left with nothing. I sat there, paralyzed, unable to respond. Nathan leaned forward, his expression cold and calculating. Now, I trust you won't do anything foolish. If you tell my wife or anyone else about this arrangement, you'll face everything I just described, plus a visit from my driver and his associates. If you think you can simply leave town, we'll track you down. So, be a good man and accept this new dynamic. Your wife is an exceptional assistant, he added, his voice dripping with malice. Then, moving closer to my ear, he whispered, and she gives the best BJs. I was too stunned to react as Sophia walked out the door with Nathan, her boss, and now her lover. My entire world had just been shattered. Devastated, I didn't know what to do. So I turned to the only escape I could think of. I drank. When I woke up on Saturday morning, I was alone, hungover, and filled with dread. Sophia didn't come home that day. She wasn't there Sunday morning either. Later, when I went to pick up Lila from my parents' house, it took everything in me not to break down in front of her. As we drove home, she looked at me with wide, innocent eyes and asked, "Where's Mommy?" The words I wanted to say burned in my throat. Mommy has turned into someone who has betrayed us both. But I bit them back and forced a strained smile. Mommy had to work, I said instead. The disappointment on her little face was like a dagger to my heart. It was all I could do to hold myself together. When Sophia returned home on Sunday night, she found me asleep in the guest room. Fortunately, she didn't come in. I wasn't sure I could have remained composed if she had. The next morning, I was up early, helping Lila get ready for school, when Sophia appeared. She didn't say much to me, instead focusing all her attention on Lila. As we were heading out the door, Sophia kissed Lila goodbye and then moved as if to kiss me, but I turned away and walked out. That evening, after Sophia had put Lila to bed, she stormed into the basement, where I had been retreating to my makeshift man cave. "Are we going to have a problem?" she asked sharply. "When you say we," I replied coldly, "are you referring to me having an issue with you spending the weekend with your boss? Is that the problem you mean?" She stood with her hands on her hips, clearly prepared for confrontation. "Look, I didn't plan for this to happen," she said defensively. "It started innocently, with Nathan and me sharing morning coffee. He liked the special creamer I bring to work. I'm sure he was eager to share some of his own special creamer." I shot back, my voice dripping with disdain. "Don't be crude, Ethan," she said, her tone sharp. "Nathan is a very persuasive man. You know how I've always said I don't like sushi? The truth is, I had never tried it before. Nathan convinced me to give it a chance, said it was an incredible aphrodisiac. The first time I tried it was also the first time he and I were intimate. I'm sorry, Ethan," she continued, without a trace of genuine remorse. "But it was good. He promised me a promotion to his personal assistant. Think about the benefits. I'm earning significantly more now. I'll get to travel with Nathan and meet influential people. This arrangement will be good for us in the long run." "Oh," she added, as though it were an afterthought, "Nathan even said you could be intimate with me again. Under certain conditions?" "Oh, God. I can't wait to hear this," I said, my anger rising. "You can only have sex with me after Nathan has been with me," Sophia said, her tone almost apologetic. "He insists that it must be after he's left his mark. And according to him, that's going to happen often." "Wow," I replied, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "So, Nathan is graciously allowing me the privilege of sloppy seconds with his willing participant. How incredibly generous of him. You can't talk to me like that, Sophia snapped. Ethan, you need to get on board with this. It's not permanent, 2 or 3 years at most. Afterward, we'll be in an excellent position for our future together. You actually believe this nonsense, don't you? I said, incredulous. In your world, once the great Nathan is finished with you, I'm just supposed to pick up the pieces and grow old with you, right? What happens when your precious Nathan decides he wants to put a baby in you and expects me to raise it? Sophia lowered her head, unable to meet my eyes. Oh, no, I said, dread creeping into my voice. You're not already pregnant, are you? No, she said quickly, but he has mentioned wanting me to stop taking the pill in a few months. I told him I wanted you to be on board with the new arrangement before we took that step. I can't believe this, I said, shaking my head. Get out of my sight. Sophia paused at the top of the stairs and turned back to me. I'll be in our bed, waiting. Once I stop taking the pill, I won't be available to you until, well, you know. This was too much. She had to understand I would never go along with this twisted plan. I moved into the guest room and started spending more time in the basement. Still, for Lila's sake, I did my best to keep things as normal as possible on the surface. Over the next week, I began researching Nathan Price and quickly discovered that his claims of power and influence were not exaggerated. His connections ran deep, and his reputation for ruthlessness was well known. I sought out a divorce lawyer, hoping for some guidance. Unfortunately, her assessment was grim. Pursuing a divorce would ruin me. She was familiar with Nathan Price and believed he wouldn't hesitate to fabricate allegations of child molestation against me. Divorce, she said, wasn't a viable option. The lawyer did offer a sliver of hope. She suggested I gather evidence of my wife's plan. If I could record a conversation where they explicitly discussed their intentions or plotted against me, it might serve as leverage. However, she cautioned that even with evidence, going up against someone like Nathan Price would be an uphill battle. As part of her advice, she recommended using a discreet, voice-activated recorder and hiding it in Sophia's belongings. Taking her suggestion, I purchased a recorder designed to look like a pin and slipped it into a small pocket in Sophia's purse, among other pins. While this felt like a long shot, I couldn't think of a better approach at the time. So I started looking into other possibilities. I realized I was running out of legal options and needed to explore unconventional measures. To avoid leaving a digital trail, I used the library's public computers. From what I'd seen in crime shows, investigators always checked a suspect's internet history, and I didn't want to risk being tracked. After hours of searching, I came across an extreme idea. It was drastic, uncertain, and not something I ever imagined I'd consider. But desperation drove me forward. 3 hours away, I found a small, disreputable Oriental supply store. I donned an old hat, sunglasses, and sweats, trying to make myself as unrecognizable as possible. Upon arriving, I was relieved to see the store empty except for an elderly man behind the counter. Approaching him cautiously, I asked in a low voice, "I'm looking for tetrodotoxin and dimethylmercury." The old man studied me for a moment before a knowing smile crossed his face. "Ah, trouble with a cheating wife?" I gave him a faint smile in return. "Do you have what I need?" "I do, but it's not cheap," the old man replied. "It'll be $1,500, cash only. I assume you want no record of this transaction." Anticipating the expense, I had brought $2,000 with me. I counted out $1,500 in 20s and placed the stack on the counter. The old man nodded, disappearing into a back room. Moments later, he returned with a small paper bag containing 2 vials. "Handle these carefully," he instructed. "A small amount over time will achieve the desired effect." He then placed 2 syringes into the bag. "These will help with administering it. Don't let the substances touch your skin. It's best to mix them into a liquid for ingestion." I took the bag and quickly exited the store, heading back to my car. The substances, tetrodotoxin and dimethylmercury, were as lethal as they were elusive. Both had origins tied to marine life. Tetrodotoxin is derived from the fugu fish creatures that, when prepared correctly, are considered culinary delicacies. However, in concentrated forms, the toxin accumulates in the body and can be fatal. Dimethylmercury, a compound related to mercury, is even deadlier. Both substances are slow-acting, building up in the system over time, making their effects difficult to trace. Even if detected, the cause could plausibly be attributed to contaminated seafood, such as bad sushi. The brilliance of my plan lay in its delivery. Sophia herself would unwittingly carry out the act. She kept her special creamer at home until she needed to replace the bottle at work. Months ago, I had asked her why she didn't store all of it at the office. She had explained that she feared someone might steal it, calling the creamer her little indulgence. Now I knew what she really meant. It was something she shared exclusively with Nathan. The creamer, non-dairy and shelf-stable, was stored in a case in our pantry. That would be my opportunity. The case of creamer sat open, with 11 bottles neatly arranged. Carefully, I took one out for closer inspection. The cap wasn't tamper-proof but was sealed with a layer of paper and foil beneath it. Deciding to start with the tetrodotoxin for safety, I prepared a syringe. The dimethylmercury was far more dangerous, as even skin contact could be lethal, so I wanted to ensure I was confident with the process first. Filling the syringe with the tetrodotoxin, I gently inserted the thin needle into the seal's edge. Once inside, I slowly injected the liquid, taking care to avoid any visible signs of tampering. The bottle looked untouched after the needle was removed. Reassured, I repeated the process with the remaining 10 bottles. Once I finished with the tetrodotoxin, I carefully prepared the dimethylmercury. With heightened caution, I injected the second toxin into each bottle, ensuring there were no spills. Finally, all 11 bottles were prepared. 2 weeks later, I noticed one bottle missing from the case. It was down to 10. My conscience started to weigh heavily on me, and I began questioning whether I had gone too far. However, Sophia's actions quickly pushed any second thoughts aside. That Thursday night, the ritual she referred to as sushi night took place again. This was the night she and Nathan supposedly worked late and shared sushi, though I knew it was an excuse for their affair. Lila and I had dinner alone as usual, and I tucked her into bed before retreating to my space in the basement. Sophia entered with her usual air of entitlement. "If you want any sex, you've got 1 month," she declared. "Nathan has decided I'm going off the pill in 4 weeks. After that, you'll have no access." Anger surged through me. "Let me get this straight. You're offering me a brief window to sleep with my own wife before you try to conceive a child with your boss? How generous," I said through clenched teeth. "Wasn't the rule that I couldn't touch you unless you were already carrying his filth inside you?" She smirked, seemingly unfazed. "That's right. And don't call it that word. I've told you how much I hate it." "Then I'll pass," I snapped. "I wouldn't touch you, whether or not his filth is involved." "Suit yourself," she said smugly. "I'll be upstairs in our bed. It's been a while since we've been intimate." She turned and walked away with a self-satisfied air. I muttered under my breath as she left, "You wouldn't recognize love if it stared you in the face." I understand that some might think I was going too far, and that divorce should have been my course of action. However, given the threats made against me, both the danger to my daughter, the most precious person in my life, and the threat to my freedom, I saw my actions as an act of self-preservation. What I was doing was morally reprehensible, but I justified it as a response to the unimaginable threats they had leveled against me. About a week later, I noticed the case of creamer was down to 9 bottles. It took another month before the first signs of its effects began to appear. I had been closely observing Sophia whenever she was home, and I started to see subtle changes. Her complexion grew paler, but it was her hands that caught my attention. During dinner, she kept flexing her fingers and wringing her hands, unable to shake the sensation. The toxins in the creamer were starting to take a toll on her nervous system, slowly shutting it down. "Is everything okay, Sophia?" I asked, trying to sound genuinely concerned. "I don't know," she replied, her tone uncertain. "My fingers feel numb, kind of like when your hand falls asleep after lying on it. It's been happening for about a week now. I've also been feeling a bit out of breath." "It's probably nothing," I said, keeping my tone light. "It could just be stress. Anything at work causing you tension or making you uncomfortable?" Her expression shifted, and a faint sneer crossed her face. "No, there's nothing wrong at work. Everything is going great. I'm sure it's just stress." 2 weeks later, the box of creamer was down to 8 bottles. They must be drinking a lot of coffee, I thought. Sophia's symptoms, however, were no longer subtle. She began experiencing more pronounced body aches, worsening shortness of breath, and her skin had taken on a noticeably ashen tone. The evidence of her condition was becoming harder to ignore. It was a Thursday evening, and Sophia came home earlier than usual, which caught me off guard. "What are you doing here, Sophia? Isn't it sushi night?" I said, my tone heavy with sarcasm. "I'm not feeling great, and neither is Nathan. We decided not to work late tonight," she replied. "Well, that's poor timing, isn't it?" I said, adding, "You know that big project you and Nathan were supposed to start? It's hard to deliver that package if both of you are sick." Sophia stepped closer, lowering her voice so Lila couldn't hear. Don't be a jerk in front of our daughter. I'm going to lie down. After dinner, I took Lila to her room to get her ready for bed. As I walked past our bedroom, I heard the unmistakable sound of Sophia throwing up. I hesitated before opening the bathroom door. Please tell me you're not already pregnant, I said quietly. Screw you, she snapped. There's no way I'm pregnant yet. I just went off the pill last week. You could show some compassion, you know? I'm really sick here. Compassion? I scoffed. That's rich coming from you. I'm your wife, Ethan, and you need to show your wife some respect and compassion. I cut her off sharply. No, my wife died when she went to work for that a-hole. She was replaced by someone I have no respect for. If you think you'll get any compassion, respect, or even kindness from me, you're mistaken. I turned and walked out of the bathroom, leaving her hunched over the toilet. Sophia was still in bed when I left to take Lila to daycare on Friday morning. I should have checked on her, but I honestly didn't care. Around noon, my phone rang, and it was Sophia. What do you want? I answered. I need you to take me to the hospital, she said. What's wrong? I asked, confused. I'm sick, but it's not me. It's Nathan. He's had a stroke. I couldn't help but laugh. Are you seriously asking me to take you to see your lover in the hospital? Please, Ethan, this isn't funny. They said he could die. I figured it might raise suspicions if I didn't take her, so I took the afternoon off. When I got home, Sophia looked awful. I helped her into the car, and we drove to the hospital. I loved every second of the drive, even whistled the entire way. She kept calling me names, but I did not care. Once there, we ran into Nathan's wife and one of the senior partners, Derek Carter. Derek quickly pulled Sophia aside, clearly aware of their affair. Sophia, do you really think you should be here? His wife is over there. Ignoring the fact that I was standing next to her, Sophia responded to Carter. Mr. Carter, I need to know how he's doing. I need to see him. Carter led us aside, keeping me close. You look awful, Sophia. It's not looking good. His left side is paralyzed, and the doctors say his organs are shutting down. They don't know what's happening, but if they can't stop it, he won't make it through the weekend. Sophia was in tears. Please, Mr. Carter, I have to see him. Can you distract his wife while I go in? I'll be quick. Carter huddled with Nathan's wife and his family, while I escorted Sophia to see her lover. Nathan looked in terrible condition. The left side of his face was drooping, and though he was awake, he couldn't speak. Sophia rushed to his side, while I remained by the door. I felt sick watching her hug and kiss him, knowing I was standing there in the same room. Sophia began to cry harder until a nurse entered and told her to leave. The nurse helped her out of the room, leaving just Nathan and me. Nathan's eyes widened when he recognized me. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. Nathan, you're going to die soon, I said coldly. Before you do, I want you to know that I didn't take your advice. I didn't accept your idea of a new relationship. Don't worry. I'm going to tell your wife everything you did with me, and my wife once you're dead. Just know, before you die, that I did this to you. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Alarms started going off on the machines connected to Nathan. Nurses and doctors rushed in as I stepped out of the room. They managed to keep him alive through the weekend, but he passed away early on Monday. Sophia was a wreck when she heard the news about her boss's death. Her health continued to deteriorate. I picked up Lila from daycare and headed home that Monday to find Sophia still in bed. She confirmed that her lover was gone. Despite her condition, her venom was still evident. I guess you're going to gloat now, she said bitterly. No, Sophia, I replied. I'm not going to gloat. I'm not going to pretend I'm upset he's dead. That man destroyed our marriage, and he deserves what he got. Our marriage isn't dead, she said, though her voice was weak. I can't believe you're so cruel about Nathan. Nothing I had with him diminished my love for you. I told you it was a means to get ahead, to make us financially secure. You knew I would come back to you. No, Sophia, you're talking nonsense. Our marriage is as dead as your lover Nathan. Did you forget I was in the room when you rushed to Nathan, professing your love for him? Hugging and kissing him with your husband standing right there? Sophia sobbed harder as I turned to leave the bedroom. By the end of the week, her condition worsened. It got so bad that I had to take her to the hospital on Friday. Saturday morning, her doctor met with me. Mr. Hayes, your wife's organs are shutting down. Her blood shows dangerously high levels of mercury and another toxin found in fish. Does she eat a lot of seafood, maybe sushi? I fought to keep a straight face. Yes, she and her boyfriend have been eating a lot of sushi in the past few months. Boyfriend? The doctor asked, surprised. I'm sure you're familiar with him. Nathan Price, the man who passed away here in your hospital just this past Monday. He and my wife had an ongoing affair. That explains a lot. Even though he had a stroke, her symptoms are very similar to Mr. Price's. Unfortunately, her condition is critical. Her kidneys failed earlier this morning. It's only a matter of time now. The doctor led me to her room. Sophia was hooked up to several machines, looking frail and weak. Her eyes brightened when I entered, and she weakly gestured for me to come closer. Her breathing was shallow, and she struggled to speak. Sophia motioned for me to lean in closer. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I now understand how badly I hurt you. The doctor told me I don't have much time. I need to hear that you forgive me before I go." I leaned in close to Sophia's ear. She managed a faint smile as I began to speak. "My dear wife, I pledged my undying love to you when we exchanged our vows. For better or worse, in sickness and health, I said. And at the same time, you pledged your love and faithfulness to me. You broke those vows, belittled me, and humiliated me. I will never forgive you for what you did to me and our family. I hope you and your lover burn in hell." I stood up, watching a single tear fall down her cheek, before walking out of the room just as the alarms went off. Less than an hour later, she was declared dead. Telling Lila that her mother wasn't coming home was heartbreaking. I cried for her, not for Sophia. Sophia had tried to destroy my life, but I beat her to it. The doctors believed Sophia and Nathan were victims of bad sushi. When Sophia's body was handed over to the funeral home, I was told there would be no autopsy or investigation. No police came to question me. I destroyed the extra bottles of creamer and the vials of toxins at the house, even retrieving the 1/4 full bottle of creamer from Sophia's office when I cleared out her belongings. When I had Sophia cremated, her parents objected due to their religious beliefs, which discouraged cremation. I didn't care. I wanted her body gone. With her ashes, any lingering evidence was destroyed. You'd think I would be satisfied with my revenge on Sophia and Nathan, but I wasn't done. I gathered my recordings and made copies. My first visit was to Emma Hayes, Nathan's widow. The question was, why confront her now that he was dead? I wanted to know if she knew and allowed it to happen. I suspected she did. Nathan had been too open about the affair for her not to know. When she invited me into her home, I turned on my pocket recorder. "Mrs. Price, I came here to talk to you about your husband and my wife." She interrupted me. "You can stop right there, Mr. Hayes. I knew about my husband and your wife. They were very obvious about it. It wasn't his first affair, but she was his last. I'm sorry for your loss, but as you can see, I lost my husband too." "Thank you, Mrs. Price. But I want to be clear here. You knew your husband seduced my wife and turned her against me and our daughter. By doing nothing, you're just as guilty as he was." "Wait a minute, Mr. Hayes. I didn't have any part in my husband's actions." "I guess we'll have to disagree on that, Mrs. Price. If you had done something, maybe your husband wouldn't have felt free to seduce my wife. Maybe my daughter would still have a mother. The fact that you knew will help me when I go after his estate for the pain and suffering he caused my family." I got up and walked out of her house without saying another word. My lawyer had advised me that pursuing Nathan's estate was unlikely to succeed, but at that point, I didn't care. I wanted retribution. Along with going after the Price estate, I set my sights on the firm where Nathan and Sophia had worked. With Nathan dead, my lawyer believed the firm wouldn't care about his actions and would fight us at every turn. That was until I produced a recording of a conversation between Nathan and his partner, Derek Carter. During the time I was carrying out my plan, I struggled to remain civil toward Sophia. One of their rants was caught on the recorder, which turned out to be fortuitous. It captured a conversation between Nathan, Derek Carter, and Sophia in her office. They discussed my resistance to their scheme, and in the recording, Derek offered his assistance in enforcing their plan. He even mentioned knowing cops, prosecutors, and judges who owed him favors, and that they could use those connections to destroy me if I didn't comply. Although my lawyer said the recording might not be admissible in court, we decided to use it anyway. My lawyer arranged a meeting with the senior partners, including Derek Carter. She didn't tell them the reason for the meeting, only implying it might involve life insurance. I wanted to catch them off guard. When we entered the conference room, each of the 7 senior partners, including Carter, offered their condolences on Sophia's passing. They all believed we were there to discuss the issues we were having with her life insurance policy. Mark Holden, the managing partner, stood up and spoke first. "Mr. Hayes, each of us is very sorry for your loss. We've been informed of the difficulties you're facing with the insurance company, and I'm pleased to tell you that we've successfully intervened to clear the obstacles." He slid a check for $600,000 from the insurance company toward me. I pocketed the check, then looked up and said, "Thank you, Mr. Holden, but that's not why we're here. We're here to give your firm the opportunity to settle a serious matter before we go public and file suit against each of you personally and against your law firm. You see, Mr. Holden, your firm was complicit with Mr. Price in a plot to seduce my wife away from her family and to have me arrested, prosecuted, and jailed. Holden stood up, visibly angry. How dare you come in here and accuse our firm of such crimes, tarnishing the reputation of a fallen partner. Mr. Hayes, we will not sit here and tolerate these false allegations. Mr. Holden, I said calmly, we can leave right now, but I assure you that my allegations, as you call them, are true, and I have the evidence to back them up. I suggest you simply ask Mr. Carter if I'm telling the truth. All eyes shifted to Carter, who was visibly squirming in his chair. It seemed everyone was waiting for him to refute my claims, but he remained silent. My lawyer then hit play on his phone, and a portion of the recording between Carter and Price discussing their plan to destroy me filled the room. Holden quickly stood up, glanced at his partners, and then turned back to me and my lawyer. Mr. Hayes, if you'll allow us, I need to speak with my partners privately. 30 minutes later, Holden walked back into the room alone. What are your demands, Mr. Hayes? He asked. Your firm will pay me and my daughter $5 million, I said, or we'll sue you. The recording I played for you, along with many others, will be made public. It's as simple as that. My lawyer tells me that Carter will almost certainly be disbarred, and the rest of you could face the same fate. The fact that prosecutors and judges were named might harm your business and jeopardize your licenses. Holden asked for 2 days to discuss my offer with his partners. My lawyer spoke up. You have 2 days to agree, or everything comes out. 2 days later, my lawyer called me with news. They've agreed to the $5 million. I have a proposed agreement to send you. In exchange, we've agreed not to go after Mr. Price's estate, and they will expel Mr. Carter from the firm under a moral clause, denying him 90% of his partnership share. I agreed to the terms and accepted their money. I signed an agreement that I wouldn't disclose the actions of Mr. Price and his firm against me and my family. Sophia had been right about one thing. Her affair had financially secured our future. After the deal with the law firm was settled and the financial strain lifted, Ethan Hayes took a step back from the turmoil that had consumed his life for the past months. He focused on what mattered most, his daughter Lila. While the scars of betrayal lingered, Ethan realized that this was a turning point. The weight of the past was still heavy, but it no longer defined him. Ethan used the money from the settlement to create a stable future for Lila, ensuring she had everything she needed to grow up happy and secure. He took her on trips to places she had always wanted to visit, and they spent more time doing things that brought them joy, fishing, hiking, and even picking up old hobbies that Ethan had neglected during the dark days of his marriage. One day, while taking Lila to her favorite burger joint, Ethan met someone new. Her name was Sarah, a kind-hearted woman who had been through her own share of pain but had come out stronger on the other side. She worked as a therapist, helping people navigate their struggles, and she immediately connected with Ethan, not just for the pain he had endured, but for the strength he had shown in protecting his daughter and finding a way forward. As their relationship blossomed, Ethan found himself laughing again, something he hadn't done in a long time. Sarah was understanding and patient, never pushing him too fast but offering a steady hand as they navigated their new life together. Lila took to Sarah as well, happy to see her father smile again, and they quickly became a family. With Sarah by his side, Ethan didn't feel like he was walking through life alone anymore. He found peace in knowing that not everything was lost and that there was still love and happiness waiting for him, even after the darkest of times. Together, they built a new life, one filled with warmth, understanding, and genuine connection. In time, Ethan learned to forgive, not because he had forgotten what happened, but because he realized that holding on to the bitterness would only chain him to the past. He didn't need to carry it anymore. He had the future he had always wanted, a loving family, a sense of peace, and a second chance at happiness. And for Lila, seeing her father happy again made all the difference. She grew up surrounded by love, feeling supported and cherished, knowing that even though their past had been broken, they had found a way to heal and move forward together. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.